Hey, what's up, guys? This is elospeaks back again in another video. And in this video, I want to talk about the whole Brett Favre welfare fraud debacle that's been going on in the media. Now, I understand that the sports media has briefly talked about it, but I feel like it's not getting enough headways that I thought it was going to be, especially after the egregious thing that Brett Favre and his governor and other people that was involved in this has committed. So, I wanted to read an article right quick and give a few details as the events for some people that don't know what's going on, and then I will give my opinion and commentary after. Now, this is a CNN article written a couple days ago, and it's titled "Former Official Pleads Guilty in Welfare Fraud Scheme Where Money Was Funneled to Prominent Mississippians, Including Brett Favre." Now, right there, it just shows that they were plotting this as far back as 2017. There's messages, there's emails spanning all the way back from there, showing how long and how far that they planned this out. One of the messages saying, "Nancy, thank you again. John mentioned $4 million, and not sure if heard him right. Very big deal, and can't thank you enough." Now, I could go into the whole situation about the governors, Mississippi, and all the other officials, but I want to keep this strictly on Brett Favre because he's the main topic of discussion right now. So at the beginning, it shows that Brett Favre was in connection with an embezzlement scheme that the auditors say misused millions of welfare dollars, including funneling funds into a project linked to a prominent Mississippian like former NFL star Brett Favre. Quote, so officials from the U.S. Department of Justice in Hine County District Attorney Office announced that one-time head of Mississippi Department of Human Services, John Davis, had pleaded guilty to 2 federal counts of 18 state counts. So they've been doing this way long, and they still a lot of money. So as I continue to read a little bit of the article, Davis, 54, served as a director of the Human Services Department at the time of the state auditors, says more than $70 million of federal welfare was being misused, including spent on official personal expenses and quote-unquote charities on projects unrelated to the welfare program. So they were using this money to fund their quote-unquote programs and charities and other things and personal expenses instead of using it where it was supposed to be used, which was for the poor people in the state of Mississippi. Shake my head. Now, that's the form gist of it. So as you go down further, the vast fraud scheme was uncovered in 2020 by the state audit of federal funds allocated to the state agency, where the state auditor Shad White announced that the findings he called the scheme the most egregious misspending of my stuff that I've seen in their careers. That means they were stealing so much money that the people who were the auditors were shocked at the money that was being spent, saying that about $77 million funds were supposed to be intended for the welfare program, but they were being misused inappropriately. So now we go into the part of Brett Favre. So Brett Favre was in on it, where it says Brett Favre used the money that he accrued from it, which is about $4 million, used to fund a new volleyball team arena for his alma mater. So going into the article about that is, according to investigators, more than $4 million was used to build Brett Favre backed volleyball center at the University of Southern Mississippi, Favre's alma mater, where the daughter played the sport at the time. The state of Mississippi filed a civil suit against more than 35 people and entities, including Pro Football Hall of Famer, earlier this year. So basically, he got washed up into all this. So it also detailed that there were text messages that were released last week as a part of the civil suit by the attorneys for nonprofit funded by the Nasty New, and they were already pled guilty to the charges related to the welfare funds scheme that showed Brett Favre discussing getting money through the non-profit and expressing his love for Davis after being told that the funding, as well as meeting with Davis and former Mississippi government Phil Bryant about the funding. So Bryant and Brett Favre had not been criminally charged with any wrongdoing at this time, but Bryant is also not named as a defendant in the civil suit. The former quarterback attorney told CNN that Brett Favre, who retired after the 2010 season and a 20-year NFL career, did not know the welfare fund. Sure, let me stop. That the funds were being used for the volleyball center and that his fundraising efforts for the volleyball center were honorable. Stop the cap. Stop the cap. There's text messages and emails detailing that they know that it was going on. There's also text messages detailing that that the money that they're stealing, will it be get traced back to them? And you could strictly see that the governor texts Brett Favre, no, there's no way that it could get traced back to us. And Brett Favre was 100% completely on board with the situation. So there's no way that he could say that he didn't know. So as you briefly read into that article, I wanted to give my thoughts and opinions on the matter. So as regards to this, clearly we already know that Brett Favre is a piece of crap and a horrible human being. For you to even steal from poor people, let alone the poorest union in the whole state, to fund a volleyball arena. I don't care what he was going to do with the money. They were misusing the money inappropriately because it was not for them. It was for the poor people of that state of Mississippi. Now, as regards to the whole situation, I did see that Shannon Sharp and other medias had roasted Brett Favre good, I might add you, because he deserved it. Every bit of shrapnel coming his way is well deserved. He's a golden boy of the NFL from the past life and from like the early 90s, 2000s, where people spoke glowingly about him. But for him to be doing all of this dirt behind closed doors and then no one's talking about it was kind of, But because of social media and because people like us have a voice, we could push this into the mainstream and force them to talk about it, because nobody, if they're not going to talk about it, nobody is. And we have to bring this to their attention to force them, because we already know how certain people, certain athletes are covered depending on what type of egregious thing that they have done. So it's on us to put this into the mainstream and force us to talk about it. Now, there's some other stories I'm going to get into as well, but I wanted to get into this as well because, and as right now, I think Brett Favre need to be criminally charged for stealing millions of dollars, because I've seen other people who stole less than him and got charged and got criminal charges for him. Him and everyone else involved in this crime needs to be criminally charged and do jail time. I'm talking about like years, because they stole a lot of money and they use it for personal expenses and other wrongdoings, while they're supposed to be using that money to help the poor people in the state of Mississippi. That is wrong. That's not right, and it needs to be something that needs to be done about that. It's not fair that these people could do something that egregious and just get away scot-free and then try to plead not guilty, saying that they did not know what the money was being used for. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You did know what the money was being used for, and you didn't care because you're a selfish prick, and you just don't care about what's going on in your state. You just care about what's going on in your personal life and what you want to do. And you already know it's always better to spend other people's money than to spend your money. So the fact that you were willing to steal from the poor people to finance your quote-unquote volleyball arena at your alma mater, that just shows you how much of a piece of crap Brett Favre is and how much shame that he's brought to the league. I don't care what he did in his past life as an NFL player, what he did on the field. He was a good to great NFL player, but in personal, he's a piece of crap. I want to get into more about this, but still, My point is, criminal charges need to be levied, and I'm pretty sure they have enough information and evidence to back them to levy charges on all of them and have them personally arrested and do jail time. Now, the story just broke a week ago, and we're still getting more information. So as the information progresses, then I'll probably do more stories about this. But that's just my take and opinion on the matter. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. This is Speaks out.